Welcome back to normal baseball. The Rays are 13-0. Luis Arraez hit for the cycle, and Max Muncy owns the San Francisco Giants. Let's talk about it. What's going on? Welcome back to yet another episode of the Normal Baseball Podcast. I'm Alex Normal Dog. That's Lewis. And today we got baseball for you, as always.
Per usual.
A lot has been happening.
Certainly.
A lot has been happening. It's been a fun week of watching baseball, as always. And we're here to talk about some of the stuff that happened this week. A lot, I feel like, happened, but at the same time, like, nothing controversial happened, you know?
Yeah.
A couple, you know, debatable things. Nothing crazy. I had a lot of fun watching baseball this week. I was watching pretty much as many games as possible. And yeah, I was having a good time.
That is
what
true.
about you?
Yeah, loved every second of it. Baseball is just fun to have back and getting to enjoy the game as we had all of last season. It's just nice to have baseball. And I'm looking forward to the full summer and the full spring, and hopefully we get some team who gets a really fun run in October. I mean, that's looking far ahead, but let's talk about what happened last week.
I was going to say, that's looking very, very far ahead. It's gonna be here before we know it, though, which is the crazy part.
True.
But yeah. So, getting right into it, I feel like the biggest topic is very obvious. The Tampa Bay Rays are 13-0. They just completed a 4-game sweep of the Red Sox. 4-game sweep of the Red Sox. Game 1, they won 1-0. So that was like, in this entire 13-game win streak, that was the closest game. The only scoring for them came from a Brandon Lau solo shot. It was a bullpen game for them. They shut down the Red Sox, which is what they
definitely did. Kluber, I will say, for the first part of the last game, looked pretty good. He definitely had one of his better starts up until the last inning where he did get pulled. So that was interesting. Corey Kluber, the Klubot, kind of came out of left field, throwing haymakers and showing everybody that he's still got more left in the tank somehow. It doesn't make sense. But Corey Kluber looked okay. It was weird.
Well, that was in Game 4 of the series.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was in Game 4 of the series.
That was yesterday.
Yeah, that was yesterday. Kluber gave up 4 earned runs, but he got the loss. Struck out 7 batters. Rays still won Game 4 of the series, 9-3. Very convincing fashion. A couple home runs from guys like Yandy Diaz and Brandon Lau homered again. Just this team finds ways to score.
They do.
They are the second team in history, or at least the second team in the modern era, to start a season 13-0. I believe they joined like the 80-something Braves.
Well, they're the third team. It's the Braves from 1982 and the Brewers from 1987.
I thought the 87 Brewers was 12-0.
13.
Really?
13.
Well, they're the first AL team in history.
They are.
To start 13-0, which is absolutely wild. And congrats to the Rays. Just really convincing wins yesterday, or rather 2 days ago in Game 3 of the series. It was a pretty back and forth game. Chris Sale was on the mound for the Red Sox. He gave up 5 earned runs in just 4 innings pitched. And then the Rays kind of used that to score a couple more off their bullpen, and their bullpen was able to hold them off. They won 9-7 in Game 3 of the series, and Game 2 they took 7-2, pretty convincing fashion. Just their guys are getting it done on all sides of the ball, and it's scary. But there has been a lot of talk about the Rays' schedule, because I believe it is the Rays' schedule so far this season. Their opponents had a .339 win percentage last season, so they were not playing good teams whatsoever. and those teams did not get much better over the offseason. Do you think it's fair to say that it doesn't feel right because they've played worse teams, or do you think, hey, it's baseball? Any of these teams could have won on any day. There were some close games in there. They almost lost to the Nationals, but they pulled out and they won. So do you think it's a fair statement to say that they've had an easy path?
The way that I look at it is, yes, like you said, any team can win on any given day. However, when you have a team like the Rays, who in 2019 they kind of shocked the world, they made their team look a lot better than it actually was on paper. 2020 in the COVID-shortened season, they go to a World Series. 2021, they're the thorn in the entire American League, especially the American League East side. 2022, they took a little bit of a step back. They weren't so powerful with the Blue Jays taking a step up. However, this season they get off to this really, really strong start against the Tigers, the Nationals, the Athletics, and Boston. I want to say that this is not so much of a surprise, more of a returning to form for the Rays, because in recent years, I always remember the Rays for being this franchise that they don't spend millions of dollars on their payroll. They're not bringing in the big-name free agent pitcher that can lock it down every fifth day. They're not bringing in that massive bat that whenever he gets up to the plate, he's going to get a hit type of thing. You know? I think that this is just the Rays kind of adjusting back to where we know they should be, and they're catching lightning in a bottle. Really hot streak to start off the season, and, you know, although any team can win on any given day, as you said, these teams were no match for the wagon, not the bandwagon.
I was gonna say,
for the wagon that is the Tampa Bay Rays, especially coming out of the gate to start the season.
but even then, it's not like they're... Yes, they've won a lot of their games, like, 10-1 or stuff like that, but there have been close ones.
There have been close ones, but also every time that there's a close one, it feels like the Rays have that big inning, such as yesterday. But they were down 3-2, and then they come out and put up, I think it was a 5 spot. Like, it's just very interesting to me to see how the Rays work, because they're just so goddamn good, and there's no other way to put it. Like, they just have a bunch of guys who can play baseball, who really know how to win, and who know how to do it any which way possible. They sack bunted with bases loaded and 1 out when they were up by 3 yesterday.
As many runs as you can.
Yeah, they will beat you in every single way possible, and I think that this is the Rays proving that they can win in any way possible, and I enjoy watching it, personally.
Yeah, the Rays have hit a ton of home runs this season, and they've got it done on, like you said, every kind of way they can score, they have scored. It's wild what's going on in Tampa. I would say, yes, they have played bad teams, but you have to remember that it's baseball and any team can win on any day.
Agreed.
And no matter who you're facing, a 13-game win streak is extremely impressive. Mm-hmm. I'm sure in the past there's been teams who have played those exact 4 teams in a row, or have played 4 not good teams in a row and have not gone 13-0.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like this was going to happen every time, So, I don't know. I'm giving credit to the Rays, and I think this just proves that they are going to be a lot better of a team than people thought they were. Because, yes, they're beating up on these bad teams, but that means that they're also going to be playing probably good against good teams. I can't imagine they're just going to... The first good team they face, which I believe is going to be this weekend?
It should be. They actually played the Blue Jays. 3-game set, kicks off today, ends on Sunday. Looking forward to seeing how that series plays out, because if the Rays go in and sweep the Blue Jays, like, first off, let's just say it right now, the Rays already have a magic number, 145 more wins to clinch.
They're on pace.
They're on pace to do it, rather hastily, might I add. So it'll be interesting to see what they do going forward. Obviously, that's a complete joke. Eventually, I think it's safe to say that eventually the Rays will lose at least one baseball game. Is that fair to say?
Well, yes.
Eventually.
But technically, right now, they are on pace to go 162-0.
Yeah, if they played a 13-game set every single 2-week span, just as they've played this last 2 weeks, then we would be talking about the 162-0 Rays.
Could happen.
Wouldn't that be interesting?
Could happen. You never know.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. They do have their first test coming up against the Toronto Blue Jays. However, I don't think it's going to be that first game. Tomorrow or today, of the time of you watching this, the time of this recording, the Blue Jays are rolling out Jose Barrios, who, if you don't know who Jose Barrios is, get familiar. He's your favorite BP pitcher. I actually signed a petition for him to pitch during the home run derby this year because he is just not who he once was in Minnesota, right? That's where he was before?
Yeah.
He's not who he once was in Minnesota, and it's upsetting to see because obviously we root for all MLB players to do well, all minor league players to do well, but at the same time, he's really bad.
Yeah, Jose Barrios has given up 12 earned runs in just 9 2/3 innings through 2 starts. He's got an 11.17 ERA. Last season he had a 5.23 ERA. It was just bad all around for Jose Barrios.
I feel like that's actually hard to do.
No.
For an MLB pitcher, you're going to tell me that you can't run into a few more putouts, a few more strikeouts.
Not if you're
accidental ground ball or ground ball.
Not if you're throwing it like Jose Barrios is. He, like you said, he's throwing BP. It's kind of easy to hit, Yeah. I'm not saying I could hit it, but
I could.
Settle down.
I could.
Settle down. But yeah, so not funny. Interesting to see how the Rays will match up with the Blue Jays in their first what feels like legitimate series matchup of the year. So that we'll just have to wait and see.
Hey, but I'm rooting for them to break the record.
Me too.
That would be fun.
Just win one more and then lose.
Yeah. Break the record. Go 14-0 to start the season.
Do as much as you want. Go for 162-0.
How do we? I was just going to say, how do you feel about the 162-0?
Do it. Obviously, we're having a not realistic conversation right now that they are not going 162-0. They are on pace for it. I think there's a very good argument that they will not go 162-0. I just want to see them take it as far as they can. You might as well at this point.
Do you think that they're going to start off the season sort of like the Moneyball A's and win 20 plus in a row, kind of when no one's expecting it, even against these good teams? Do you think it can go that far, or do you think the streak ends this upcoming series?
I think it'll end this upcoming series. With a team like the Blue Jays, I'd be surprised if they didn't take at least, one.
Okay.
Especially with, how they've been this season. The Blue Jays have been playing pretty good. I know they just dropped a couple to the Tigers. Kind of a disappointing series. It was their first home series of the year with the new renovations.
The ballpark looks amazing out there in Toronto, I must say.
Yeah, it looks nice. I mean, nothing nothing crazy, but
it looks like it's a better fan experience. It's not so much of fans showing up to look into a bowl, that's what it felt like with the high walls and there being so much separation between the stands and the field. Now it's more of everything's connected. This is one ballpark. We're all cheering for the same team when you come in here, and the players are just as much in it as you are. I feel like it adds another factor that's just hard to quantify, hard to describe. But when you watch the games on TV, you can sort of tell that everyone enjoys the renovations more, both on the field and in the stands. It looks like a better environment for a baseball game.
Yeah, I can't really speak on that because one, I've never been to the Rogers Center, and two, I didn't really watch much of the series because it was Tigers. I watched a little bit of the first game just because I wanted to, and then Alek Manoah was just pitching horribly, which kind of shocked me. I was like, Blue Jays home opener. He's probably gonna put together a decent start. No, he gave up 3 in the first inning, couldn't get an out.
Yeah.
He threw, I think, 40 pitches in the second. He threw over 40 pitches in the second inning alone.
That's hard to do.
And the Blue Jays dropped 2 of 3 in their first home series of the year.
Did they drop 2 or 3? I thought they won the series.
No, they lost game 1, I believe. Right? Didn't they lose game 1?
I'm checking right now. Not to say, I'm not going to...
No, they lost game 1. They definitely lost game 1. Oh, wait, did they? They won game 1.
Yeah, they won game 1, they won game 2, and then lost yesterday.
I apologize. I was definitely under the impression that they lost game 1. I apologize. That's just because I saw Manoah give up those runs, but he settled in. That is my fault.
Yeah, that's when I texted you. Have you ever seen Zach Pop pitch?
Yeah. You're right. You're right. Okay, Blue Jays. But going back to the Rays thing, I think they are definitely going to take one from the Rays. I think it'll end this series. If not, prove me wrong, Rays. I'd love to see it. Like I said, take it as far as you possibly can.
Yeah. All right. Do you want to go to another interesting team, another interesting series, to say the least?
Yeah, go for it.
The Mets and Padres played a 3-game set, and it was one of the most exciting 3 games I think I could have ever asked for. The Mets go on to win 2 out of 3, I believe.
The Mets won 2 out of 3.
Yeah,
yes.
The Mets won 2 out of 3. Sorry.
They took game 1, 5-0. Scherzer had a good bounce back start. He threw 5 innings, no earned runs, after having a 6.35 ERA through his first 2 starts. Lindor had a double. Darvish had his worst career start against the Mets, which was 6 1/3 innings pitched, 5 earned runs, 6 hits, 5 strikeouts. He had a win in his last 4 starts versus the Mets, and just throughout his whole career, he's been really good against the Mets. I want to say the Mets bullpen kind of carried after Scherzer came out. They pitched a combined 4 innings, no earned runs. They struck out 8 in those 4 innings. The Mets bullpen looked really good. Game 2, the Padres took 4-2. Manny Machado had a big 2-run double. Xander Bogaerts had a big 2-run home run off Dennis Santana in the 9th inning, top of the 9th, to give the Padres a late lead. And then the Padres bullpen shut down the Mets, and they took the second game. However, game 3, the Mets came back. Lindor and Pete Alonso both hit solo shots. Alonso has 6 home runs on the season, by the way.
My MVP pick looking good, baby. Looking good.
And the Mets bullpen was really good. Again, 4 innings combined and no earned runs. So
yeah. So let's just get, I think the big elephant in the room for the Padres here is, one, you got 2 very tough series out of the way. Playing the Braves at home early in the season for the home opener for the Braves, difficult series. Playing the Mets at home for their home opener, another difficult series, another matchup that you might run into in October. And I would call this, especially for not having some of the pitching in the Padres organization completely healthy right now, I would call it a little bit of a draw. Had they had Musgrove, would the 3rd game have gone differently? I think yes. But, 6 to 1, half dozen another. The big issue with the Padres this series for the Mets, for the 3 games, they went 3 for 24 when runners were in scoring position. Very upsetting for a team that, especially the bottom half of their lineup in the second half of last season as well as the postseason, figured out a way to push across runs whichever way possible, which helped propel them to the NLCS. They just couldn't figure it out. And I think if they figure out how to get that production again out of the same guys, or when Fernando Tatis Jr. comes back, hopefully soon, it'll add another spark to their lineup, because they need to figure out a way to get those runners, just an extra 90 feet, 180 feet, another 270 feet to get them across and put a run on the board. It's a very important part of baseball, scoring runs. Yeah,
Nando is definitely coming back. We know it's going to be soon. It's going to be April 20th is when Fernando Tatis Jr. comes back.
Thank God.
He actually had 2 home runs last night for the El Paso Chihuahuas, or whatever they are, the Padres AAA team. So he's ready to come back. He's poised, and I'm very excited to see him back in the lineup. Like you said, with runners in scoring position, you can't be doing that kind of stuff.
3 for 24, and the worst part is that those 3 successful attempts where they scored were all in the same game. So there was also the first game they went 0 for 8, second game they went 3 for 9, and the third game they went 0 for 7, which totals up to 3 for 24. Not a good look for the Padres. Hopefully they can figure that out, because this team is absolutely loaded, and they need to win. They need to be winning these games. They need to be winning games in October. They need to win games throughout the entirety of the season, and they can't be dropping a series like this where it was a very winnable series for the Padres. Not to discredit the Mets. The Mets played a great brand of baseball all week, but the Padres also had plenty of opportunities that were squandered.
Yeah, the Mets bullpen, I feel like yes, the Padres missed a lot of opportunities, but the Mets bullpen and kind of their pitching this whole series was very, very good. Yeah. I want to give props to their bullpen because Robertson and Ottavino are kind of splitting like those late game situations.
I love that,
and it's working out really well. Ottavino's been amazing. So is Robertson. Juan Soto had a homer in this series too,
he did.
Which I didn't want to mention.
453 feet.
Yeah,
it's a great home run. It was a beautiful homer.
But
the other player that I do want to mention is actually on the other side, Brandon Nimmo. Brandon Nimmo is 3 for 3 on stolen bases this year, and we are a measly 12 games into the New York Mets season. Now, just to enlighten everybody at home who may be keeping track, Brandon Nimmo, his career high in steals for an entire season, if you go all the way back to 2018, he had 9 stolen bases throughout 140 games. In 12, he has 3 right now. If Brandon Nimmo can finally develop that skill of stealing bases, then we are talking, he becomes an even more effective leadoff hitter than he already is for such a loaded Mets team behind him. So, Brandon Nimmo, good job. 3 for 3 on steals so far. Let's keep going. Give me, what's a healthy number for Brandon Nimmo? Steals. Because he has decent speed, and he gets on base a lot. He pumps out a hard 90 on a walk. I think it's fair to say, 25 stolen bases? It would be a fun number for Brandon Nimmo for the regular season. I like the sound of it.
Go for it.
Yeah, 25. Give me 25 bags, Brandon Nimmo. Steal 25 bags. That's all that I want out of you. And that's not hard. I don't think that's hard for a player of his caliber.
Yeah, Nimmo, not to mention, he's also been an on-base machine. Through the first, couple weeks of the season, through 12 games, he's got 12 walks. I believe he had a 4-walk day on Mets opening day last weekend.
It's the most Brandon Nimmo thing ever.
He's got a 431 on-base percentage. He's getting on base. He's a really good leadoff guy. That's exactly what you want from a leadoff guy. The leadoff guy doesn't have to be, hitting 500. He's batting 250 through the first couple weeks of the season, but he's getting on base. And what you want from your leadoff guy to start off the game is you want a man immediately on base. And he's putting the Mets in a really good position to have someone on base as soon as the game starts. And that's exactly what they need, which is why they're not putting Jeff McNeil into the front of that lineup. Because Jeff McNeil has not been the Jeff McNeil that we saw last year. Not so far through the season. Do I think that means much? No. I think he could definitely turn that around. But Jeff McNeil has not been producing as much on the hit side of the ball as he was in the last couple of years. And I like Nimmo at their leadoff spot rather than Jeff McNeil, who won the batting title. You would think you'd want the guy who won the batting title at your leadoff spot, but they bat him in like the 5-hole, and I kind of like it. A couple guys get on, you get a guy that can give you a hit. Yeah,
it gives life to the second half of that the second half of that lineup. And if you want to talk about second basemen that have been producing, I don't think that there's any other which way to go here, and this is an all-time pivot on the Normal Baseball Podcast, to anyone else besides known boy down south, Luis Arraez of the Miami Marlins. Just hit for the cycle, first one in franchise history. Alex, as arguably one of the biggest boys down south Miami Marlins fans, how does it make you feel?
I am a big advocate for the boys down south. Always ride with the boys down south. Never forget it. First, I don't know if announcing that you're pivoting.
Oh no, you have to point it out. Okay. You have to point it
out. But yeah, Luis Arraez, first cycle in his career, yes, but also the first cycle in Miami Marlins history. Absolutely incredible. The Marlins won this game 8-4. He had a double in the first inning, a triple in the 6th inning, a home run in the 7th inning, and a single in the 8th inning. It aligned. And with a guy like Luis Arraez that he was bound to do something like this at some point this season, because a lot of people were questioning whether or not he was going to come out and just be the batting title winner that we saw. And so far, he is batting through 13 games with the Marlins. He's batting .500 with a .558 on-base percentage. He's got a 1.254 OPS. He's incredible. He's absolutely incredible. I think Luis Arraez is going to continue to have an absolute monster season.
Yeah.
Do we see him bat 400? Listen, you didn't hear it from me.
Ted Williams it.
You didn't hear it from me, but I wouldn't be surprised.
But why would you have him go down? He's batting 500 now. Let's shoot for 600 on the season, Luis Arraez.
Yeah, Luis Arraez.
Done.
Good for him.
So I think that makes. Is it fair for me to say to you that the Twins-Marlins trade, the Pablo Lopez for Luis Arraez trade, was a win-win for both clubs?
It was an even trade. I want to talk about Pablo Lopez in a minute. But finishing out, the Marlins actually won 2 of 3 against the Phillies, which was kind of crazy because in Game 1, the Phillies came out firing. They scored 9 runs off Sandy Alcantara, however you want to say it. They scored 9 runs off him. Sandy pitched 4 innings. This is coming off a complete game shutout of the Twins. This is the next start after that. And the Phillies came out absolutely firing. It made it seem like this series was going to be the Phillies' breakout series. And then, you get the Luis Arraez cycle. They're not losing that game.
No, you can't.
They're not losing that game.
Boys down south don't lose cycle games.
And then the next day, they come back. They tie the game at 2 in the 8th inning with a Jorge Soler homer. And then take the lead in the 10th. And they win that game 3-2 in 10 innings. And they just kind of... It feels like if you're a Phillies fan, they stole that series from you. Because you had the lead in Game 3, and you just blew it. And when you come off that first game, scoring 9 runs off the 2022 NL Cy Young winner, unanimous Cy Young winner, 9 runs off him, how do you go on to lose that series? That's just crazy to me.
You know how you do it? You simply don't... You're not able to contain, sometimes, the boys down south.
Well, I saw a really good graphic that explained to me really well how, these teams kind of lose these games and win these games. I believe all 30 teams that outscore their opponents in the game won the game. And all 30 teams in every game that they did not outscore their opponents, they lost.
Yeah.
It was a really, really good graphic.
The crazy formula in baseball of how they figure out these wins and losses. And I must say, it's part of the beautiful game. But as for the Phillies and the Marlins series, I think it was a great series. I wish I could have said to you that it was the Phillies turn it around, breakout, let's go gung-ho now.
It looked like it was going to be.
It looked like it was going to be, but the Marlins, the boys down south, had other plans, and you have to just... When the boys down south are on a mission, you know not to get in their way. And I think it now puts the league on notice.
Yeah, putting the league on notice, the Marlins are. I'm actually putting you on notice because the weekly ding-dongs, the scores changed a bit since last week.
Yeah.
Our weekly ding-dongs, our homer draft, we call it the weekly ding-dongs because, well, we're picking weekly ding-dongs. Who's going to hit some ding-dongs throughout the week?
Who's got the biggest ding-dongs?
Last week, I picked Francisco Lindor and Randy Arozarena.
Yeah.
And you picked...
Masataka Yoshida and Manny Machado. So, Alex, congratulations. I think this is the first time in Homer Draft Ding Dong history that we can say you have a lead.
I'd like to thank everyone. And I know you're very, very glad that we switched this from not total runs scored on the homers.
Oh, it would have been close.
Because Francisco Lindor had 2 home runs throughout last week. He had 1 against the Marlins.
Solo? Both of them?
I believe so. But he had 1 against the Marlins and 1 against the Padres. And then Randy Arozarena had 2 home runs last week as well. He had 1 against the Red Sox and 1 against... Who'd they play before that? The Athletics. Mm-hmm. Yes, 1 against the Athletics as well. So my current score now is 4. What's your score?
My current total
3?
Going into this week, I had 2. Both Yandy Diaz and Matt Olson came up clutch for me, both hitting a homer. This week, only Manny Machado hit a solo home run for me yesterday on the 13th of April. Solo shot, so my total is now up to 3 on the season.
Okay. So so we have to do our picks for this week now.
We do.
Our weekly ding-dongs for this week. So should I go first, and then you can snake around?
Sure, but just to give everyone a little preface, we try not to pick the same players too often, and any players that were picked last week cannot be picked again this week. So with that being said, Alex, who are you going with for your first pick?
I am going to... Oh, there we go. I am going to go with... Sticking with the Mets, I'm going with Pete Alonso for my weekly ding-dong pick. The Mets play not that... I like the matchup that the Mets have, if I could pull up their schedule, just so I can make sure that I'm saying the right teams. So, next week... Rather, this weekend, the Mets play the Athletics. And then next week, the Mets play the Dodgers in L.A. So, Pete in L.A., I mean, he's Pete Alonso. He'll be eating some In-N-Out. He'll be really happy. And he'll be hitting some homers.
That's true. Okay. I can understand that. I can get behind that. All right, so do I get the snake around? Is that what I'm doing?
Yeah, you got both your picks.
All right.
AL and NL.
So for my AL, I'll start out hot. I'm going with Julio Rodriguez from the Seattle Mariners. He plays against the Rockies, against the Milwaukee Brewers, and then closes out the week against the St. Louis Cardinals. I'm looking forward to it. I think Julio Rodriguez is a premier player in baseball, and he's going to show us exactly why. Give me 3. Give me 3 homers. 3 homers in 7-8 days. I'll give or take a little bit.
Okay.
Like the sound of that. As for my NL pick, I am making a pure strategy move here. When a power team is playing in one of the most hitter-friendly ballparks in the league, you have to go to them. So I'm going with Kyle Schwarber, the Philadelphia Phillies. They are playing a weekend series in Cincinnati and then hit the road to Chicago to play the South Side Boys, the Chicago White Sox, and then finish out the series against Colorado in Citizens Bank. Playing at 2 of the most hitter-friendly ballparks over the course of a week is pretty good.
I don't think you get the Colorado, though. No, Colorado's next weekend.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
That's after Thursday.
We could sneak it on in.
No, I don't think we can.
We'll see.
So you're only getting
they play Thursday. They play Thursday too.
We'll see. You're only really getting the full Cincy and but I do like the Schwarber pick because of Cincy alone.
Cincy is one of the most hitter-friendly ballparks for a reason, and I think if anybody's going to expose how hitter-friendly, not even expose, show off how hitter-friendly that ballpark is against such a really bad Reds pitching staff, none other than lefty power bomber, lefty Captain America, Kyle Schwarber.
Okay. So you have Kyle Schwarber in your NL, Julio Rodriguez in the AL. Okay.
You got it, dude.
So I have Pete Alonso in the NL, and for my AL pick, I am going with a man who shares the same name as me. Alex Bregman of the Houston Astros. The Astros play the Rangers in Houston. The Astros have been the better Texas team for a while, and I think at home Bregman's gonna kind of show off a little bit. And then I believe they stay at home next week and they play the Blue Jays. And I don't know. Barrios is probably going to pitch one of those games.
That's an automatic homer.
I'm feeling confident in Alex Bregman. So I have Alex Bregman and Pete Alonso for my picks this week.
Yeah, hopefully Alex Bregman turns it around a little bit. Still batting sub 200 average on the season. But I hope that he can turn it around. And I think it would be no better time to turn it around than when you have him in your homer draft.
Breggy hit a couple home runs last week. So I'm hoping he can do the same this week.
Yeah, I like the sound of that. Okay.
I think it's going to happen.
Good pick.
Good picks all around today.
For sure.
Speaking of the Astros, first of all, they are a team in Major League Baseball. They exist. But do I dare say they're starting to turn it around? Yeah. They played the Pirates, who were one of the more hot teams in baseball. Yes. Yes, no, yes. Yeah, they still are. Yeah. The Pirates are still one of the hot teams in baseball.
They dropped that series.
And the Astros took 2 of 3.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm reading this backwards.
The Astros took 2 of 3. They won game 1, 8-2. Kind of they knew they were winning, early into the game. It was kind of evident. Jordan went 3 for 4 because that's what Jordan does. Framber went 7 innings pitched, 2 earned runs. They dropped game 2 of the series, but that's just simply because the Pirates. I think O'Neal Cruz was in the building, so
the spirit of O'Neal Cruz was there.
Yeah, you don't beat the Pirates when O'Neal Cruz is there. Ji-Hwan Bae, who I do want to talk about,
absolute stud,
came up big for the Pirates, and then game 3, the Astros just kind of did the damn thing. They won 7-0, dominant. But the
great defense in that last game, by the way. Chas McCormick showed out. Alex Bregman made a couple of good plays over at third base. It was just all around such a great defensively played game from the Astros, which defense wins championships.
Yeah, and the Astros started really bad, as we know. Through their first 10 games, they were 4-6, which no one really expected. They lost the series to the Detroit Tigers. It just was not looking great in Houston. We knew they were going to turn around at some point. They just took 2 or 3 from the Pirates. Yes, they are still 4-6 in their last 10, but they're now 6-7 on the season. So, do we think the Astros are finally turning around? Do we think they're going to just actually get into their hot stride and be that unbeatable team that they were last year?
Let's see what they do. Moving forward, they play the Rangers, the Blue Jays, and the Braves. I genuinely think the Rangers offense, especially with how loaded up they are from guys who you think can beat you, can give their pitching a little bit of problems. But I think at the end of the day, it's going to be the Astros offense that is just more powerful overall. The Toronto series, honestly, a toss-up. Both teams are great. And the Braves series, another series that, can go both ways. A nice little 2021 former World Series champions going up against the team that they beat to win that World Series a few years ago. So let's see what they do over these next, 9 games, 10 games, and then I can tell you whether or not I'm buying or selling Astros stock.
Yeah, a lot.
Now I'm holding.
A lot with the Astros has been their bullpen has been a big problem. Obviously,
shockingly.
Obviously their hitting has been pretty bad too. Without Altuve in the lineup, it feels like Altuve not being there and Bregman and Pena starting out kind of slow. Their hitting hasn't been great, but it hasn't been too bad, honestly. Their bullpen has not been great at all. So their starting pitching is 3rd best ERA in baseball, and their bullpen has the 17th best ERA in baseball. Their bullpen is significantly worse than their starting pitching, and I feel like that's where they are losing a lot of games that we have seen happen. Against the White Sox in that first series of the year, a lot of those games were lost in the late innings. Same thing with the Tigers. A lot of those games were lost in the late innings. I think their bullpen is right now their biggest problem.
Yeah, which is weird because over the last, since 2016, 2017, all the talk of the town when it comes to the Astros wasn't always about their offense, about how they could just overpower you. It was about how their pitching staff, their starting and their bullpen, could just absolutely shut down anyone. And it's weird to say that the Astros bullpen is just not off to the start that we thought and knew that they could have. So it's definitely a change of pace. Hopefully the Astros can figure it out because they need to in order to try to repeat as World Series champions. That you need a good bullpen, and hopefully they can figure it out.
I hope they can too, because they were a very entertaining team to watch last season when they were playing that good. And I feel like they have too many good players for them to not be playing good. So let's just see them do what we know they can do. Another guy I want to talk about on the Astros who I'm very proud of is Hunter Brown.
Love him.
Hunter Brown.
Love that guy.
Yes, through its 2 starts. And I believe his first start wasn't, phenomenal.
Okay.
But he's got a 3 ERA. He's pitched 11 2/3 innings. He's looked good. He's got 12 strikeouts through 2 starts for the young guy. And he's pitched more games than Justin Verlander this season. So
it's true.
He has the same mechanics as Justin Verlander. That was the big thing last season. And then now he's pitched more games than Justin Verlander this season.
Yeah, shout out Hunter Brown. Love the kid. I said it earlier before the season started that he was going to be one of the more exciting rookies to watch. And he's living up to it, and hopefully continues to live up to it for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Round of applause for Hunter Brown?
Yeah, round of applause for Hunter Brown. Speaking of exciting rookies, there's this one on the Cardinals that you may or may not be familiar with. Lewis, you familiar with a man by the name of Jordan Walker?
Oh, am I familiar with the man of Jordan Hit Streak Walker? Of course I am.
Yeah, Jordan Walker. So, Jordan Walker has had an amazing start to his MLB career. It feels like he's just able to get hit after hit. Not necessarily the fact that he gets a hit every time he's at the plate, but it felt like every day he gets a hit, which is absolutely true. Because every day he does get a hit. He is only the second player to ever have a 12-game hit streak in the first 12 games of his career before turning the age of 21. And he could have been the only one to hit a 13-game hit streak before the age of 21 through their first 13 games of their career. But he lost it tonight. But that's not what we're going to talk about. He lost it, but we're going to talk about the first 12 games rather than just the 13th game.
Looked amazing. Could not have been happier. And if I'm a Jordan Walker fan, which I am, I think that there was no better way for him to start out his career. Obviously, in the minors and the lower levels, he was known more as a power hitter. Has 2 home runs so far, and he's batting .319 and needs to, especially in this Cardinals offense that is missing that really, turn the lineup over, like keep the chains moving type of guy consistently, besides the names Goldschmidt and Arenado. Like, having a third guy who can do that, especially closer to the bottom of the lineup, is really important for the Cardinals. And Jordan Walker is proving to the Cardinals that it was the right decision to make to call up a 20-year-old rookie. Round of applause for Jordan Walker.
I'd say yes, Jordan Walker, he has not really had that much power yet so far. He's got 4 extra base hits on the season. He's got 2 home runs. I mean, in the minors, he was also a very big average hitter. He hit like .317 one year or something like that, and he hit over 300 than last year in the minors. But he also had the power. Now, so far, just through small sample size, first 13 games of his career, we're only really seeing the contact side. So I'd love to see some more power out of Jordan Walker within the next couple weeks. Not to say that this is anything abnormal, because a guy who is just coming up in his first, handful of games, I doubt he's going to come in and
swing for the fences.
Not even, swing for the fences, but I'm also saying, like, he's not just going to be able to, like, hit home runs off big league pitching like that. Big league pitching is different.
Yeah, he has not run into Jose Barrios yet, but I would hope at some point this season he does.
Yeah, because they played him in the first series, but I don't think Barrios pitched in that series, so that explains it.
Yeah.
I don't know if they face off against each other again, but
I hope they do.
But yeah, Jordan Walker has just been insanely fun to watch. He's one of those rookies that you get on your team, and when he starts this good, you think to yourself, like, this is the guy of the future. This guy is going to be on our team for a long time, and he's going to be doing this for a long time, and he's only going to keep getting better. That's what the feeling for me is for Jordan Walker right now, and if I'm a Cardinals fan, I absolutely love it.
My apologies, they do not play the Toronto Blue Jays at all for the rest of the season.
Tragic.
Sad.
I think that's absolutely tragic. We should lobby for the Blue Jays to trade Barrios to an NL Central team so that Jordan Walker can face him.
Sign my name. Sign my name. I'm in for that.
We'll petition for that.
Yep.
No worries.
But Jordan Walker, exciting rookie. Another guy who has sort of been proving... do I say proving everyone wrong, or do I just say doing the damn Dodger thing? James Outman. Absolute stud. Guy came basically out of left field, no pun intended, because he is an outfielder. But having a 1.122 OPS with a 190 OPS plus through your first 13 games is absolutely amazing. Obviously, not having the same batting average right now as Jordan Walker, sitting at a 289. But if I'm the Dodgers and getting the production out of a rookie outfielder that is 289 batting average with a 1.122 OPS, I am more than happy. The dude has it. He has a lot of power, a lot of speed. He currently leads the league in triples with 3, and he has 3 homers on the season. The only concern is right now he swings a little bit too much A lot of swings and misses. Does have 14 strikeouts. But if I'm the Dodgers, there are so many different guys in that analytical department that are going to tell him stop swinging at certain pitches, and then he'll become a classic Dodgers prospect that turns into an amazing player.
It's the classic Dodgers thing. You get this guy who you know is going to be good, and I think your fans think, this guy's going to be good. But you didn't think he was going to be this good, at least to start the season. And it's just the most Dodgers thing. Like, this guy comes up, and he's just an absolute stud. We saw it with, guys like Corey Seager, who did it. Walker Buehler, right? He was from their system. Just a lot of the guys from their system come up, and they just do the damn thing. This is certainly nothing new for the Dodgers. It feels like just another day of work. Another prospect who's going to come up, and he's going to hit 280, and he's going to have, 30 homers this season. Like, just how do they do it?
He's a stud.
He's a stud. He's a stud. And not to mention they also have Miguel Vargas, who
cool guy.
has been decent through the first however long of the season. I was trying to find how many times a player has had 3 triples in his first 11 career games, because StatHead, I'll be honest, StatHead did not work all week for me. For whatever reason, StatHead did not want to work. Actually, I just feel like it hasn't happened that much. Who does that? Who hits 3 triples in their first 11 career games? I see you researching it right now. I got the StatHead search going. It's loading. I don't know how long it'll take. I could be very wrong about this. This could be a very, very common thing. But I feel like that's just kind of crazy. I know that a lot of it's probably circumstance. I can't say I watched the triples happen, but probably a lot has to do with circumstance and just like hitting it in the right place. But either way, James Outman doing things that we haven't, doing things that are making me take notice. Just making a guy opposite coast. I can't say I've watched that many Dodgers games this season. A lot of them have been at 10 o'clock at night, and I just haven't been watching them. I've been watching a lot of Angels rather than Dodgers, but this guy, James Outman, has been putting me on notice so far throughout the first few games of the season. Although the Dodgers have not been as good as people have wanted them to be. We said last episode that hey, we might have actually undermined the Dodgers and made them out to be a little worse than they actually are, because they certainly aren't bad at all. They just had a series against the San Francisco Giants. They took 2 of 3 in San Francisco, and Max Muncy absolutely took over the series for the Dodgers.
What did you expect?
I expected nothing less.
They played in, what is it, AT&T Stadium? AT&T Park?
They played
now
in San Francisco.
They played in San Francisco, and for anyone who's sitting at home wondering, oh boy, what did Max Muncy do against the San Francisco Giants while playing on the road? Take a wild guess.
What didn't he do?
4 homers in 3 games. 2 homer days for Max Muncy.
He didn't play game 2 of the series.
He didn't, and still had 4 homers.
Yes.
For anyone who's keeping track at home, Max Muncy in his career in the Giants Stadium against the Giants, he's batting .297, 38 hits, 11 homers, 31 RBIs, 26 runs scored across 38 games for his career. Max Muncy is fucking amazing if he only played against the Giants away on the road. And I don't know why. Because Max Muncy is, I don't want to call him the best one of the top third basemen in the National League, but if he played all of his games against the Giants, he would be.
Oh, well, of course. Of course he would be. Out of the 19 runs the Dodgers scored in this series, they got blanked in game 2. Only game that Muncy didn't play. Of course. There's the correlation there.
Of course.
But out of the 19 runs that they did score this series, Muncy had 11 RBIs. Muncy was a direct causation of 11 of those runs. It's just wild. It all started with the Bumgarner, go get it out of the water. When he yelled at Madison Bumgarner, go get it. And from there, just Max Muncy just cannot be stopped in San Francisco. It's incredible. He has, against the Giants in general, He loves hitting against the Giants in general, even if it's at Dodger Stadium. He's got a 274 lifetime batting average against the Giants and a 1 OPS. It's just wild. 25 homers against the Giants throughout his whole career. The guy just mashes no matter who's pitching for the Giants. He doesn't see a face when he pitches. When he's looking at the pitcher, he doesn't see a face. He just sees the Giants uniform, and he's like, all right, well, time for me to hit a home run.
Time for me to open my eyes for this at-bat.
Yeah.
That's what it seems like. But Max Muncy, I mean, have yourself a career if you're going to be like playing like this against the Giants.
Yeah, it's baffling to me. I love it. Good job, Max Muncy. Round of applause. Absolutely owning the Giants. The Dodgers right now are 7-6. They are second in the National League East.
Who are they behind? National League East.
National League West. They are going to play the Cubs at home the weekend, and they are right behind none other than your Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
The Snakes are in first place in the NL West after taking 2 of 3 from the Milwaukee Brewers last week. The only game that they lost against the Brewers was a Corbin Burnes 8 innings, no earned runs, 3 hit, 8 strikeout day, which you don't beat that.
It's Corbin Burnes.
It's Corbin Burnes. It was his first good start of the season, so...
And the best part is that the Diamondbacks had a no-hitter in that game going through 7.
Yeah, and they just could not end it out.
Yeah.
Brewers won it 7-1. But anyway, they took 2 of these games. Zach Gallen looked phenomenal in game 1. He went 7 innings, 3 hits, no earned runs, 11 punchies. Christian Walker hit a 2-run homer. Then in game 3, which they also won, of course, Lourdes Gurriel had 3 RBIs, a double, a 3-run homer. Corbin Carroll had a 2-run shot. The Diamondbacks are having fun, and they're looking to prove a lot of people wrong this season. Yeah. So I'm excited. I love this team. I love the Diamondbacks. We tried to tell you guys before the season started.
Hop on.
You gotta be on the Diamondbacks train. It's a fun train to be on.
And they're proving it.
They are proving it. They are currently what are they? So they're 7. Are they 8-4? 8-5?
8-5.
8-5 right now. 7-3 in their last 10. -2 run differential. But
that's called playing the fucking Snakes way.
Oh, did you see the clip of while they were playing the Brewers? There was just a regular pitch. There was a guy on first, and the Brewers catcher, whoever it was for that game, it might have been William Contreras, threw the ball to second and overthrew it. The guy wasn't stealing. The runner was not stealing second. He was just standing at first, and the catcher threw it. And it went over the second baseman, and the guy got to second, and the runner got to second.
That's so funny.
They lead the National League in steals with it was 19 at the time. It's probably more than that now. Mm-hmm. They're leading the National League in steals, and they're just striking fear into their opponents' hearts. I believe that's what a lot of people were saying, because the guy wasn't even running. And you're throwing down to second, you overthrow it, and then you wind up giving him the base.
17 steals on the season. Held...
or 17. It was 17. Yeah. 19, I think, is the leader. Or was the leader at that point.
And right now, the leading criminal on the Arizona Diamondbacks for most steals. Who else but Corbin Carroll? Yeah, 5 steals has not been caught yet. The Diamondbacks only have actually been caught 1 time. That was on a Jake McCarthy steal, so... there's nothing really much to it other than the Snakes know how to steal.
Yeah, Corbin Carroll has been having a really, really nice start to the season.
Love him.
He's batting .255, yes, but he's got 3 homers. He's got 5 steals. Just all around, he's been fun to watch on this Diamondbacks team.
Amen.
The Diamondbacks, their hitting has definitely carried them to this record so far, I'd argue. Gallen has been pretty good. He had a couple bad outings. Earlier, not even bad, but just not Zach Gallen-esque. Obviously, this last outing, this week, was a big step up and looks good for him. But Dre Jameson's a guy who I'd like to highlight. He's pitched 21 1/3 innings this season. He's got the Scooby-Doo cleats, and he's got a 1.46 ERA. He's been kind of a guy that I said it. I literally said this last episode. I said Dre Jameson. I didn't hear about him till the season started, and I've heard about him a lot after the season started. And it was only like, what were we, 7-8 games in at that point? Yeah, I've just heard his name a lot. Dre Jameson's a guy to be looking out for. Madison Bumgarner has been horrible. He has. He's got a 7.27 ERA right now.
Yeah, but don't put him in the postseason, or else he becomes the best pitcher on the planet.
Hey, Snakes might make the postseason.
Yep,
if their pitching can get a hold of themselves, they might actually make the postseason.
Snakes for the playoffs.
Sneak them into a wild card spot. Let's see it. Why not?
Sneak them into the wild card. They're leading the NL West.
Do we think that's sustainable?
Win the division. Win the fucking National League. Get to the World Series. Hit a goddamn walk-off in Game 7.
The way you said that, I don't know why, but it reminded me of Barry B. Benson from the B movie.
Let's go Snakes.
You sound like Jerry Seinfeld is what I'm trying to tell you.
I do. Let's go Snakes.
You might be Jerry Seinfeld.
I am Jerry Seinfeld.
B. Seinfeld. Oh! Okay, yeah. Sorry. My B. Seinfeld. But, yeah.
B. Seinfeld.
What else we got? So...
I think that's basically it.
Well, there's one guy. Your guy. You didn't even talk about
let's talk about... I think... You want to talk about that? And I got one other thing.
I got a couple more things. But you talk about your big guy right now.
Jarred Kelenic is here. Jarred Kelenic, when everyone said the Mets won the trade, oh my God, they absolutely fleeced the Mariners. Jarred Kelenic arrives. And he arrives in a big way. After a few seasons of him being down... In the last postseason, in 2022, he certainly looked pretty solid. No one expected him to come out and hit 3 homers in 3 straight games. Jarred Kelenic, welcome to the fucking big leagues once again. 3 homers in 3 games in Chicago, and also has the record, forever will be in the history books, will be etched into his Hall of Fame plaque. That he has the longest home run in Wrigley Field history at 482 feet, went into the stands above the batter's eye in center field. If I'm a pitcher, I'm throwing my glove down, walking off the field, and retiring from baseball, because anybody to hit that nuke is embarrassing. To have it be Jarred Kelenic is just a punch in the gut, because everyone knows that this guy is going to be absolutely amazing. Jarred Kelenic is here. I'm excited, and I'm happy to say that he is going to contribute a lot to this Mariners team that wants to win.
Yeah.
Round of applause for Jarred Kelenic. Give me 35 bombs this season.
I would like to say the longest home run in Wrigley history of the StatCast era.
Yeah, well, we're not counting
since 2015.
Here's what she found.
So since 2015, or 2013, whenever they put in StatCast, because there was that because I feel like right after he hit it, that's why I was confused when you said longest of Wrigley Field history, because they showed something on the broadcast right after he did that of Dave Kingman hitting one very far, and apparently it went 540 feet.
No.
But then
if
again,
I can't do that, no way that Dave Kingman could have done it.
But then again, we didn't have StatCast back then, so we'll never know. Is this finally Jarred Kelenic's season to break out?
I think that it is his season to break out, and I think that there's no better time, especially when people were saying that this Mariners offense wasn't looking as solid as it should. The bottom half of the lineup isn't producing as how it should, and Jarred Kelenic is going to be a crucial part of keeping the offense rolling, keeping the offense moving, causing chaos on the base path, and making it hard to just get outs for any opposing pitcher. Jarred Kelenic is going to be a big part of the Mariners this season.
Yeah, Kelenic certainly has looked like he is going to break out. This is what we've been waiting for. I feel like the last...
What you have been waiting for, what I have known was coming.
Okay, this is what a lot of people have been waiting for, because the last couple seasons it's been the guy's batting 190. The guy's batting what the hell is going on? Now he's actually hitting big league pitching, which is absolutely amazing. If he can continue to do, obviously he's not going to end with a 351 batting average. It's just not going to.
Yeah, 451 suits him a lot better.
Okay, let's be realistic. He's not ending with a 350. If he can bat, I'd say at least 275. if he ends the season with 275 batting average, I'll count that as a full success for the Jarred Kelenic year. And a nice at least OPS, keep it above 800. I'd say that's a very successful year for Jarred Kelenic. I'm so excited. It's about time. Him and Julio, if they can get it going at the same time.
With Teoscar, that's one of the best outfields in baseball.
Yeah, Julio started a little slow. So I'm interested. He's going to hit his stride at some point.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see when that will be and how much of a stride that will be.
It's the Rookie of the Year hangover. I'm not worried.
Well, but I feel like we haven't seen the Julio Rodriguez, I'm going to be good for 3 months. Like, not in the sense of I'm going to be a good player for 3 months, but like I'm going to be hot. Like I'm going to win player of the month like months in a row. Like I am just going to be the hottest player in baseball for the next couple months. I feel like he's one of those players who definitely has the ability to be the best player in baseball for like month periods. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, we'll have to see. I hope that he can do that.
Yeah, we haven't seen it yet.
But
so.
yeah, I think it's safe to say that it's a little bit of a ways away, but it would also not surprise me if Julio does do something like that, or if Jarred Kelenic does something like that, barring he keeps up exactly what he's doing.
Barring keeping it. If he bats 351 for the next 3 months, I think he's in a really good spot.
I would expect nothing less.
You would expect nothing less?
Yes.
Don't bet too much on that. I hate to break it to you.
And as for the last thing that I just want to have, that I want to mention for my own sake, coming from another second-year player, we already mentioned Jarred Kelenic, who's technically third year, could be considered second year. Julio Rodriguez, second-year player. Bobby Witt Jr. Foul ball straight to his dad in Texas.
That is cool.
It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Very, very cool moment. The fact that the broadcast got it and everyone was like, it was just such a weird coincidence. If you watch the foul ball, it just barely misses going right to his family, and the fact that his dad caught it nonetheless is pretty cool. Wish it was a homer, because that would be even cooler. But I'll take this very cool moment from Bobby Witt Jr. I don't know how these big leaguers know exactly where to hit the ball at all times. It's impressive.
Yeah, they're that good.
They're that good.
Going back to the Mariners. The Mariners played the Cubs this week. They played the Cubs this week, is what I said. They took the series, I believe. No, they lost the series, rather. They took 1 of 3. They lost 2 of 3. Yes. The Cubs, they walked off in Game 1 with a Nico Hoerner single. And then Game 2, they scored 14 runs. Chris Flexen had 8 earned runs. Horrible day for me to pick him up in fantasy, but I did, of course. Chris Flexen had a horrible start. I wanted to talk about some of the new guys that the Cubs got this offseason. Specifically, the big 3 of Cody Bellinger, Trey Mancini, and Eric Hosmer. Some people are calling them similar to the Golden State Warriors. Big 3 of KD, Steph, Clay. Some people are saying... I just want to kind of update everyone on how those 3, the big 3, in MLB are doing.
Enlighten us. How are they doing?
So Cody Bellinger, through the first 11 games of the season, keep that in mind, he's batting .238, which is up 28 points from last season. Good for you, Cody Bellinger, by the way. His OPS is above 700.
Oh my God.
He's got 2 homers, a double, but who I really want to talk about is number 2 of the big 3, Trey Mancini, who got his first home run as a Cub this past previous week.
Right.
Trey Mancini batting .250, which is also a step up from last season.
Impressive.
And finally, I know you love. You hate him, but you love him.
Hate him, but love him.
Love-hate relationship.
Well, address him in the proper way, please.
The 2016 All-Star Game MVP, Eric Hosmer, is batting .273, which is a very big step up from last season. Well, maybe not very big, but it's a step up from last season. The Cubs are not going to do anything this season. No, but I do just want to say that I think while like the numbers aren't like significantly higher for those three guys, or like, they aren't through the roof per se, I still think it's a really good look for the Cubs that these guys are part of a better team now, like together, and they are playing better so far. I'm really happy for all three of them, because them three, yes, you get Dansby Swanson in the offseason, but these were the three that are like, if these guys can play good all season, we're going to be an actual really good team. And I think this is a good start. I didn't expect any of them to come out and, bat 400 through the first, however many games. I didn't expect. Why would I expect that? And they didn't. But I certainly think that these three have potential for this season just based on how they've played so far. I mean, Bellinger, I've heard Bellinger's name more this season already than I did, I think, all of last year for positive reasons. So I think it's looking up for the Cubs. Do I think that they'll turn that into a playoff appearance? Probably not. But they have most of these guys for the next couple years, rather the next year. I think Belly would return if he had a not great season, but a not bad season. But Cubs are going to be a pretty fun team to watch this season. So keep your eye out for them.
Yeah, for sure. Looking forward to seeing how the Cubs go about navigating just what is considered another rebuilding year, but at the same time they're trying to compete. It's a lot of fun to watch, especially from such a great and well-run organization and beloved organization like the Cubs. Bringing in a bunch of guys who can have an impact, barring they play well, is very entertaining.
Yeah. I mean, Dansby Swanson's batting 400 this season so far. I feel like Dansby Swanson's just been night after night just going out there and hitting the ball.
Yeah, except for when I picked him in my...
oh, of course.
To get my hit.
Oh, of course. He doesn't have his first homer as a Cub yet. He only has 2 extra base hits throughout the season.
He's saving it for when he plays the Braves.
He's got a lot of singles. He's a big singles guy.
Big singles guy.
So what? He has 2 doubles and 16 hits on the... He's got 14 singles so far this season.
It's impressive.
Good for him. Only 5 RBIs, but I feel like he's already come on and made a really big impact for the Cubs. So good for Dansby Swanson. He's in Chicago. He did have a quote today or yesterday that I did not like at all.
He is in Chicago.
He had a quote yesterday that I really hated.
Which was?
He said that he's never played in a he said there haven't been many better moments in my career than playing at Wrigley, as the home player. And so many Braves fans were like, you won a World Series with the Braves.
I think it's more of a sentimental thing to himself.
Yes.
Very out of context. Do I still think it was the right thing for him to say? I think that's more of a say it to your family behind closed doors type of thing, because it means a lot more to you. And I don't want any baseball players to feel as if fans are downgrading the moments that are more important to the players. Definitely something that maybe should have had more context, should have had more reasoning behind it, because like you said, he did win a World Series in Atlanta and played in arguably some of the most entertaining playoff baseball games in 2021 down in Atlanta. It was a great atmosphere. And I think it's more of him for the sentimental value of his grandfather, which he talks about a lot, and having his family and his wife now very close to the stadium and close to the organization. I think there's a lot more that goes into that statement other than just Dansby Swanson being the shortstop for the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, I think it also does have somewhat to do with please the fans. Your home. Oh yeah, of course. Your home fans. Because, you're not a Brave anymore, so, why would you worry about that? I don't know. I think it had a lot to do with, let me just please the fans.
I agree with you.
Acting as if, he didn't win a World Series.
Well, you have to move forward.
The fans already like him.
They love him.
I don't know. I wasn't a fan of the quote, regardless. Yeah. I agree with you. You say that, behind closed doors. The fans already like you. You didn't really need to say that. You could say, oh, yeah, it was a great feel. You don't have to say, that was one of the best feelings of my career.
In all honesty, let's be real, it probably doesn't top the
winning
top 25
moments
for his career when it comes to playing in individual games, especially a a random game in the middle of the beginning of the season for the most part.
The middle of the beginning of the season.
Yeah. Like
I like that terminology. I like that terminology.
Of the season, the first 25% of game, he really shouldn't be saying it, but at the same time, if that's the way he feels, that's the way he feels, and no one's going to stop him from saying whatever he wants to say.
No, I agree. Shohei Ohtani is really good at baseball. Shohei Ohtani is really good at baseball.
Of course.
That's all I got. He pitched
Cy Young MVP. Note it.
Ohtani pitched 7 innings against the Nationals this week. Gave up 1 hit, no earned runs, 6 strikeouts. His ERA is down to .47 through 3 starts on the season, and he's also batting like 300. The man's nuts, is what I'm trying to say. It's kind of getting ridiculous in a good way. The Angels actually won a game that Shohei Ohtani started, which, love that for Shohei.
You don't see that too often.
It's just wild. We were talking about it a little bit earlier, just amongst ourselves. The thing of, you were saying that you thought Shohei Ohtani could genuinely win a Cy Young and an MVP in the same season.
That's what I picked in my preseason prediction.
Yeah, he's batting 300 with 3 homers, 8 RBIs, 2 doubles, almost a 1 OPS. And then on the pitching side of the ball, he's got a .47 ERA. He's got, I think, like 26 strikeouts. He's doing it all. But do you think he can keep this up for the entire season? I'm not saying a 4.7 ERA, like a .47 ERA the entire season and batting 300, but do you still think that he can keep it up for the whole season?
Yes. And I don't think that there's anything that can prove us wrong. 2 years ago, he won the MVP rather convincingly because he does both pitch and hit. The award is most valuable player, and he brought the most value to an otherwise lackluster Angels team. In 2021, he finished 4th in Cy Young voting. Should have been higher. Could have been right behind Cease. Should have been right behind Cease instead of Alek Manoah. There was even an argument that could have been made using advanced metrics to have him second in the Cy Young voting last year, and he also came second in the MVP race to an Aaron Judge season that might never be topped again in our lifetime. It's amazing what he's doing, and now that he's figured out how to do it offensively back in 2021, continued that offensive production, maybe took a little bit of a step back to work more on his pitching, and then finishes 4th in Cy Young voting. There's no better time for him to put it all together and make a complete full, we can't even compare it to anything, Shohei Ohtani season where he wins an MVP, wins the Cy Young, hits the free agent market, and just never looks back in the terms of his MLB career.
Oh yeah, this guy, if he does wind up doing this, winning MVP and Cy Young, literally for 2 different reasons, you can not even look at his pitching stats. I feel like there's a world where you can take away his pitching stats and he's still the most valuable player. And he's still the Cy Young. When you just look, well, obviously just looking at his pitching stats for the Cy Young, but you could take those pitching stats away and he'll still win the MVP. He's going to go out there and he can get $70 million a year, $80 million. He's double the player. He is 2 players combined to 1. It's like if you combine last year's Aaron Judge with Sandy Alcantara or Justin Verlander. It's like that guy is going to go out there and he's going to get like $70-80 million a year. I think we're going to see the biggest payday in possibly American pro sports history.
Yeah, it's crazy, and obviously it's such a far ways away. Right now, I just want to look at the season that he's going to have because I think that it's important to say this to anybody who's listening, whether it be the day that this is uploaded, the day that this is posted, and the day that you're listening to this, or it's posted, or when it's listened to for the first time after the All-Star break, or, going towards down the end of the season, down the stretch. Watch Shohei Ohtani play. He's a once-in-a-million-years type of player, and it's going to be hard for us to say that there will ever be anything like it, and there's no other way to put it other than he might win the MVP and the Cy Young in the same season while hitting 30 homers. Justin Verlander won an MVP off of strictly being a pitcher, which is pretty cool. Wild. Clayton Kershaw did the same thing. Won an MVP strictly off being a pitcher. Imagine how convincing the voters are going to be. when they see that a pitcher pitched to a 2.3 ERA with, let's just say, 18 wins, because it's the Angels. They're not going to win every start of his.
18 wins?
Yeah.
It's generous. That's very generous.
It's a generous number.
18 wins is kind of crazy.
And that pitcher stepped into the batter's box almost 600 times and hit 30 to 40 homers, along with stealing 20 bases, hitting 25, 30 doubles, and having nearly 80 RBIs on a terrible fucking Angels team. It's amazing. It blows my mind to think that Shohei Ohtani genuinely is one of the only players in baseball history that can make a genuine case for MVP and Cy Young in the same season, because he does it both.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard by the end of the season to argue that he shouldn't be winning a unanimous MVP, because it seems inevitable.
Agreed.
And it took a 62 home run season from Aaron Judge to do that.
A record-breaking
62 home run season from Aaron Judge to beat him. I think anything less, and we see Shohei Ohtani go back to back to back to back to back to back back to back. And I think there's a possibility that starting this year, we will see Ohtani go back to back to back to back to back, just continue to win MVPs. Because who's stopping him?
No one.
No one's coming in here. No one's pitching and hitting the way he does and doing it at the same time nonetheless. It's incredible. Shohei Ohtani's awesome. You got a lot of aggressive claps going on tonight.
It's my clap.
Your claps have been not aggressive. They've been more... You put more force into them. I like it.
Okay.
Feels like energy. It's 1:25 in the morning. We got energy.
I'm tired.
We got energy. Last thing I just wanted to mention, speaking of MVPs, last year's NL MVP, Bryce Harper.
2 years. Not last year. Last year was Goldschmidt.
My fault. 2 years ago.
Former.
The 2021 NL MVP, Bryce Harper, had Tommy John surgery in the offseason. And just recently, as this week, he came out and said that he will consider playing first base. And he has been working out playing first base because the Phillies lost Rhys Hoskins, torn ACL. He's going to be out for the whole season. They don't have a first baseman. And Harper can't be playing the outfield once he comes back because they are rushing his return because they want him in the lineup. And first base, obviously, you don't have to be making those big throws. You don't have to be running those long distances. I think it's a great idea, rather than just having him DH every single day again, which what we saw last season. And it kind of got old after a while, just seeing him DH. It was fun to see Harper in the field. So I'd love to see him get a few starts at first base. Dare I say, become their first baseman just for this season.
Completely agree. It'll be fun.
Interested to see what happens with that. And with that, I think that's all we got.
I believe so.
Very excited. Baseball. What series are you looking forward to most this weekend, Lewis?
This weekend?
Yeah, this weekend.
Rays, Blue Jays. No other series. The eyes are all on history now when it comes to that series. What about you?
I want to say the Texas teams. Astros, Rangers.
Battle of the Lone Star State.
Yeah, especially just because both teams have a lot of fun players. Just gonna like to see it. So we will be back after those weekend series happen, after everything is set in stone. And thank you guys for watching, listening, viewing, subscribing. If you liked, make sure to share, follow, and do all that jazz. Really helps us out. We really appreciate it. We love you guys. And let's go baseball. We will see you guys in the next one. A peace.